The Young and the Restless spoilers a journey of letting go and new beginnings. Claire's struggle for peace in a world of turmoil in the ever-turbulent world of Genoa City, where secrets and heartbreak intertwine with the daily struggles of its inhabitants. Few stories have been as heart-wrenching and transformative as Claire's. Once fiercely determined to hold on to a love she believed was meant to be, Claire has come to realize that sometimes, the most difficult choice is to let go, even if it means sacrificing everything she once held dear. Over time, as she observed the subtle shifts in the dynamics around her, one painful truth emerged: Kyle and young Harrison seemed happier in the gentle, caring embrace of summer. This realization left Claire questioning not only her own worth and the sacrifices she'd made, but also the very cost of the love she had fought for so relentlessly. For Claire, every day was a struggle to reconcile her past with the uncertain promise of the future. The devastating loss of Jordan had shattered any semblance of normalcy she once knew. The trauma of that loss cast a long shadow over her life, leaving her emotionally raw and mentally unstable. The haunting memories and unresolved grief made it impossible for her to settle into a life of contentment. Instead, she found herself continually caught between what she once desired and the stark reality of her present circumstances. In her heart, she questioned whether the persistent sorrow was the price she must pay for a love that was never truly aligned with her destiny. Every glimpse of Kyle's laughter and every shared moment between him and Summer only deepened the chasm within her. Claire couldn't help but notice how Kyle seemed to have finally found solace and how young Harrison's bright eyes sparkled with the kind of innocent joy that had long eluded him when wrapped in the complexities of her turbulent love. Watching them together stirred a mixture of longing, regret, and the painful awareness that perhaps, in her relentless pursuit of a perfect union, she had inadvertently chained them to a love that was doomed from the start. It was a bitter pill to swallow. The love she had so fervently guarded was now a source of unending conflict, both for herself and for those she cared about most. In a rare moment of soul-searching and brutal honesty, Claire recognized the mistakes and shortcomings that had plagued her journey with Kyle. She had clung to a love that, despite its intensity, became a prison for both of them. The weight of her errors was made even more unbearable by the realization that all of her sacrifices and relentless battles had left her isolated in a love that was as suffocating as it was unfulfilling. Even as the warmth of Kyle's smile and the gentle presence of Summer illuminated parts of their shared life, Claire began to see that her efforts to hold on had only deepened the wounds of a fractured relationship. Victor and others in the family had long cautioned her against a path that promised more heartache than healing. Their warnings, once dismissed as mere interference, now rang with the clarity of hindsight. They had tried to steer her away from a future that would only entrap her in the endless cycle of loss and regret. And as the truth unfolded, it became painfully clear that their concerns were not unfounded. The love that once burned so brightly now smoldered in the ashes of unresolved grief and unmet expectations, leaving a trail of sorrow in its wake. In a moment of profound clarity, Claire realized that the only way forward was to relinquish the very love she had clung to for so long. The decision to step away was not born out of defeat, but rather from a deep-seated understanding that true love sometimes means letting someone go. With tears that carried the weight of both years of struggle and the bittersweet taste of liberation, Claire chose to leave. In a final, poignant gesture of grace, she offered her blessing to Kyle and Summer, urging them to cherish one another and to care deeply for young Harrison. Her heartfelt words, "Please love each other and take good care of Harrison," echoed through the halls of their shared past, a farewell imbued with both regret and hope for a better future. This farewell was not an abandonment but a necessary step toward healing. Claire recognized that her own journey required a different kind of commitment, a commitment to her mental and emotional well-being. The tumultuous years of loss and hardship had left scars that demanded attention and care. Determined to reclaim her life, she decided to focus on mental health treatment, embracing the chance to rebuild herself from within. In this new chapter, the once ardent defender of a love that had caused so much pain would transform into a seeker of inner peace, guided by the gentle light of self-acceptance and healing. The support from the Newman family, ever present and unwavering, played a crucial role in her transformation. Victoria, in particular, enveloped her daughter in a warm, understanding embrace, symbolizing the strength of familial bonds in times of personal crisis. The Newman family's unity provided Claire with the reassurance that even in the face of overwhelming loss, love could manifest in many forms: support, care, and the promise of a better tomorrow. Their solidarity was a testament to the idea that while one chapter may close in sorrow, another could begin with hope and the possibility of renewal. In reflecting on the past, Claire could no longer ignore the painful irony of her journey. She had fought so hard to hold on to a love that ultimately proved to be a double-edged sword. The very passion that once defined her had transformed into a source of isolation and heartache. It was a stark reminder that love is not solely defined by intensity or sacrifice, but also by the freedom to allow oneself and others to grow, even if that means parting ways. By choosing to step aside, Claire acknowledged the harsh truth that sometimes, love requires letting go so that healing may begin. As Genoa City continues to witness the ebb and flow of fortunes and feelings, Claire's departure marks not just an end, but a hopeful new beginning. Her journey is a compelling reminder that in the midst of loss and turmoil, the courage to accept one's own imperfections and to choose self-care can be the most profound act of love. With a heavy heart yet a resolute spirit, Claire embarks on a path toward healing, leaving behind the tangled web of past mistakes and the lingering shadows of old loves. In the wake of her departure, the legacy of her decision lingers in every tender moment shared between Kyle, Summer, and Harrison. Her blessing is a clarion call to cherish what truly matters: love, compassion, and the willingness to nurture those who bring light into our lives. And while the scars of the past may never fully fade, they serve as a reminder of the strength found in vulnerability and the transformative power of forgiveness. As Claire embarks on her journey toward recovery, supported by a family that has always been there for her, she stands as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. The Newman family's steadfast presence, particularly Victoria's unconditional love, reinforces the truth that even in the darkest times, we are never truly alone. With every step she takes toward healing, Claire paves the way for a future where love is not defined by loss or regret, but by the promise of new beginnings and the unwavering support of those who truly care. In the end, the story of Claire is one of bittersweet acceptance, a poignant tale of a woman who learned that letting go is sometimes the only path to finding oneself. Her choice to prioritize her mental health and to allow Kyle and Summer to pursue their own happiness is a powerful reminder that true love is not possessive, it is liberating. As Genoa City turns a new page, Claire's farewell resonates as a message of hope, that even in the aftermath of heartbreak, there is always a chance to rebuild, to heal, and to love again in ways that honor both our past and the promise of tomorrow. A rift of hearts, the unspoken truths of Kyle, Summer, and the lingering shadow of Claire in the tangled web of relationships that define Genoa City's turbulent landscape. One question has emerged with a painful intensity: have Kyle and Summer ever truly loved each other? The answer, as it unfolds, is more complicated than anyone could have imagined. Beneath the veneer of a seemingly perfect union lies a story of unmet expectations, lingering affections, and deep-seated betrayal that now threatens to upend everything. The illusion of a perfect partnership. Kyle's connection with Summer had always appeared, on the surface, to be a strong and supportive one. For years, Summer dedicated herself to ensuring that Kyle and little Harrison lived in an environment of joy and security. With unwavering commitment, she managed the day-to-day chaos with a smile, organizing moments of happiness and stability amid the ever-changing drama of their lives. Yet, as time wore on, an unsettling truth began to emerge. Kyle, the man who had once promised to cherish every moment with her, harbored a secret longing, a fixation on Claire that he couldn't seem to shake. Despite all that Summer had sacrificed, Kyle's heart seemed elsewhere. Every time her eyes searched his for the love and gratitude she so desperately craved, all she found was a distant glimmer of hope for a past romance, a hope that had nothing to do with the present reality. In the quiet hours of the night, when the world was asleep, Summer found herself haunted by the painful realization that Kyle had never truly considered that he might have feelings for her. Instead, he had been waiting ever so patiently for Claire to return to the forefront of his affections. The weight of unrequited devotion for Summer, the revelation was like a dagger to the heart. She had poured her soul into every gesture, every sacrifice made for the well-being of Kyle and Harrison. From the countless sleepless nights spent comforting a distressed child to the selfless acts of ensuring that Kyle was never left to face the world's challenges alone, Summer's life had revolved around her unwavering commitment to this makeshift family. And yet, when she looked in the mirror, all she saw was the reflection of someone who had given everything for a love that was never returned. In the quiet recesses of her mind, anger began to take root. "I did everything for you," Summer would think bitterly, the words echoing through her thoughts like an inescapable refrain. "I made sure you had a safe haven, that Harrison was cared for, that our home was filled with warmth and stability, yet what did I receive in return? Neglect, indifference, and the cruel reminder that I was never truly loved." Kyle's indecisiveness and the ghost of Kyle's inner conflict was a mystery that Summer had long tried to understand. While he appeared to be the steadfast partner on the surface, deep down he wrestled with the ghosts of a past love. Every decision he made, every tender moment that he shared with Summer, was overshadowed by the lingering memory of Claire. The man who had once seemed so sure of his place now found himself adrift in a sea of unresolved emotions. Instead of embracing the stability that Summer had painstakingly provided, Kyle remained tethered to a hope that seemed both elusive and painfully unattainable. His constant waiting for a sign, a word, or even a fleeting memory of Claire meant that every time Summer reached out, it felt like her efforts were met with indifference. In his heart, Kyle believed that Claire was the one who held the key to his happiness, even as he continued to build a life with Summer and Harrison. This internal struggle was more than a mere complication, it was a rift that threatened to tear apart the fragile fabric of their shared existence. Summer's rising fury, a storm on the horizon for Summer, the sting of unreciprocated love quickly evolved into a simmering anger. The realization that she had been cast aside, unrecognized and unloved, became a catalyst for a transformation that she could no longer ignore. Every sacrifice she had made, every tear shed in the name of duty and affection, now fueled a burning desire for retribution. The very thought that Kyle could continue to cling to memories of Claire while ignoring the love that stood before him was intolerable. "You promised me everything," she whispered to herself in the quiet moments after Harrison's bedtime stories, her voice trembling with a mix of hurt and determination. "You promised to build a life together, to cherish me, and yet here I am, left with nothing but the bitterness of your indifference." The promises once made, now hollow echoes in the corridors of her heart, had given way to a resolve that was both fierce and inevitable. Summer was no longer willing to accept the role of the unloved partner, the silent guardian who received little more than neglect and emotional abandonment. The unspoken triumph of Claire adding to the intensity of Summer's inner turmoil was the shadow of Claire, a constant reminder of the love that Kyle longed for but could never fully recapture. In the eyes of Kyle, Claire had become an idealized figure, the embodiment of everything that was missing in his life with Summer. Her presence, whether in memory or in fleeting appearances, seemed to validate his indecision, turning every moment of vulnerability into a painful reminder of what he perceived as a lost opportunity. For Summer, Claire's unintentional victory in this unspoken contest of love was a bitter pill to swallow. It was as if, in the struggle for Kyle's heart, Claire had emerged as the victor without even trying, leaving Summer to bear the weight of an unfulfilled love. "How can it be that Claire wins, even when I've done everything?" she would ask, the questions echoing in the silent nights as she contemplated the futility of her sacrifices. The triumph of Claire was not one born of merit, but rather the consequence of Kyle's unresolved longing, a reality that only deepened Summer's resolve to reclaim her own dignity. A storm brews, the imminent counterattack. As the tension reached its boiling point, Summer's fury was no longer something that could be contained. The betrayal and neglect she felt ignited a spark that was about to become an inferno. With every unreturned gesture and every unspoken word, she began to strategize a plan, not merely to confront Kyle, but to assert her own worth and demand the recognition that had been so long denied. In hushed conversations with trusted friends and allies, Summer's plans began to take shape. "I'm not going to let him walk away with everything," she confided, her eyes burning with determination. "He may be chasing after a ghost, but I'm here, real, present, and deserving of his love. And if he won't see it, then he'll have to face the consequences of his inaction. The resolve in her voice was clear. Summer was ready to fight back, not just against Kyle's emotional negligence but against the entire dynamic that had reduced her to a supporting role in a story that was meant to be hers. The uncertain future of a fractured love. In the midst of this emotional maelstrom, one question loomed larger than all others. What was the true nature of the love between Kyle and Summer? Had they ever truly been in love, or was their union built on misplaced hopes and unspoken resentments? Kyle's inability to commit wholeheartedly to Summer was not necessarily a testament to a lack of affection, but rather an indication of the unresolved complexities of his own heart. His constant waiting for Claire was less about the absence of love for Summer and more about an internal battle that he had yet to confront. For Summer, this uncertainty was a poison that undermined every moment of intimacy they once shared. The love that she had so selflessly given was now marred by the knowledge that it had been, in some ways, an illusion, a mere substitute for a love that was never truly there. Her anger was not simply a reaction to Kyle's actions, but a manifestation of the deep-seated pain of feeling undervalued and unseen. In her mind, every smile he directed toward memories of Claire was a silent rebuke of her own worth, a reminder that no matter how hard she tried, she would always be second best. The calm before the storm. As the days passed, the tension in their home grew palpably thick. Kyle remained oblivious to the full extent of Summer's inner turmoil, clinging to the hope that perhaps, in time, things would change. He had never anticipated that his indecision would spark such a fierce response, nor did he fully comprehend the impact of his emotional absence on the woman who had given him so much. His constant waiting for Claire was not a calculated move to hurt Summer. It was a reflection of his own unresolved feelings and the difficulty of letting go of a past that still held power over him. Yet, for Summer, the waiting had become unbearable. Every moment of neglect, every instance of unreturned affection, was a step toward the inevitable confrontation. With a steely resolve, she began to prepare herself for the inevitable showdown. A moment when she would no longer allow herself to be overshadowed by a memory, but would instead step into her own light. I deserve more than this, she vowed silently, each day strengthening her determination to reclaim the love and recognition that had been so long denied to her. A turning point in the heart's journey. The inevitable clash between Summer and Kyle loomed on the horizon, a confrontation that promised to redefine the boundaries of love and loyalty in their lives. For Kyle, the coming days would force him to confront the uncomfortable truth about his own heart, that the love he had long taken for granted was slipping away, replaced by a growing awareness of the real and tangible affection that had been there all along. For Summer, the conflict was a desperate bid to assert her own identity and to demand the respect and love that she deserved. In the end, the drama that had long defined their relationship was reaching a critical juncture. With Claire's shadow looming large and Kyle's indecision finally coming to a head, Summer's impending counterattack was not merely an act of revenge, it was a declaration of self-worth. Her anger, once a quiet simmer, was now a blazing call to action. And as the dust began to settle on the battlefield of emotions, one thing became painfully clear: the love between Kyle and Summer had been tested beyond measure, and only time would tell if it could be mended or if it would crumble under the weight of unmet expectations.